I just finished watching season 4 of Hacks, and I know it ended a while ago, but I watch a lot of TV, so it took me a while to catch up. And I want to talk about how this season looks at the cost of getting our dreams. And the cost is really, really high. And of course, it being Hacks, very, very funny. Jean Smart, who plays the legendary comedian diva Deborah Vance, and Hannah Einbinder, who plays Ava Daniels, her writing partner, frenemy, muse, reason to be in the world, both got nominated and won Primetime Emmys this year for their performances. So if you are not on the Hacks bandwagon yet, this is the time to get on it. And if you are, let's talk about how amazing this season was. Season 4 of Hacks starts in a very dark place. Deborah, after a whole career trying to be a late night host, the first woman late night host, has gotten her dream. She is it. However, that really wigs her out. It's a lot of stress and blocks her in many, many ways. And one of the things she does when she gets this gig is that even though she had promised Ava, her beloved writer who got her there, that she would be head writer, she backtrack on it and says, look, you can just be a writer. And then Ava, who feels herself mistreated, rightly by the way, decides to blackmail her into getting to keep the gig. And this creates a rift between them that is some of the hardest TV I've ever had to watch, because we love these women so much and they're both so great when they are together. And the whole point of the show is for us to look at their push and pull in their friendship that's creative, that's personal, they're each other's soulmates. That's it. Because they're both in love with work. That's what they're in love with. And they can't work without each other. So these two women just go out to destroy each other. And of course, while destroying each other, they're just destroying the show, which is the thing that they were both dreaming they were going to have. And it takes about half the season for this rift to begin to come to an end, but it really shows just how much they can't be without each other, which is why it's so painful that they should be arguing the way they are. But they're also, especially Deborah. Deborah is vindictive and you don't mess with her. She's a diva. So watching them tear each other and the show apart, very funnily, by the way, this is Hacks, of course. So it's all witty and somewhat lighthearted, is a very painful delight. In season 4, Deborah Vance finally gets her amazing late night hosting dream, only to realize that she can't be her own boss anymore. And she got there because she is irreverent and she's a diva and she does what she wants. And of course, because Ava helped her do all those things. And until now, she has had her Vegas residency where she did what she wanted. And she had a company where she sold products and where she did what she wanted. And heaven knows, with her staff, she does what she wants. She's somebody who thrives on independence. And suddenly, here she is, and she's not independent anymore. Not only is she not independent, she now has to appeal to the very broad audience of late night. And she doesn't know how to do that. And one of the great sources of conflict between her and Ava is that the suits come in and they're like, oh, moms, you need to get moms. And she's the least mom character of all time, even though she does have a daughter, but that's just not who she is. And as a matter of fact, she revived her career by coming to terms with what a kind of crappy mom she's been. She tries to pretend that she cares about cooking, and she wears this really long wig, and she's just trying with all her heart to be who she's not in order to appeal to an audience that becomes very diluted, because she's very practical and she's like, look, if this is what they want, this is what they want, and this is what we're going to give them. Well, Ava keeps on reminding her that that's a bad tactic for them, because the whole reason she got here is that she was such an independent power force of a human being. This conflict between Deborah, who's a very practical and pragmatic artist who just will do what it takes to get there, and Ava, who is an idealist and as an artist just really believes in the power of what they're doing, provides an amazing and very meaningful conversation about what it's like to be an artist in a capitalistic society where you have to make a living, but there's a cost to that in terms of what you get to do and what you get to say. The bigger your audience gets, the more diluted it gets, and the more diluted it gets, the harder it is to be the artist you want to be. Hacks is a comedy. It's a bit of a dark comedy, or maybe a lot of a dark comedy, but at the end it's got a comedic heart. So in the struggles of season 4, which have a lot to do with whether you're going to basically sell out as an artist to get your dreams and please the studio and everybody else on late night, or to stand your ground and do the stuff you believe, this show lands on this side of, look, stand your ground and you will please the audience. So eventually Ava thus convince Deborah, or together they come to a moment where they're like, look, if we're gonna be number 4 anyway, why don't we just go and be number 4 the way we want to be? Number 4 is the lowest place in late night. And of course, because they're brilliant and because this is an optimistic show, kind of, when they actually go out and they do all the weird stuff like strip poker with the stars and having people really talk about their scandals, but in a fun and open way, they move to number 1, which is a wonderful moment for them. We've been rooting for these women to get late night with all our hearts, and now they've gotten it, and oh my God, they're doing it their way, and they are building a huge audience. Sounds great, but of course, dreams have costs, as the season explores. And in the case of this dream, being number 1 means that you are very much in the crosshairs of the network. You're the precious child, and that precious child is going to help them promote their other precious children, right? Because otherwise it will look weird. So they find themselves in this very icky situation where there's a big star named Ethan Summers, played by Eric Balfour, who is basically a womanizer, if not worse. He is mistreating women. And of course, the network execs say, what's better way of, cleaning up his image than having him talk to our beloved Deborah Vance. And both Ava and Deborah they keep pushing it away. They're like, no. And then eventually there's nothing they can do about it. He comes on the show. And the question is Deborah going to confront him or is she not? And, well, tell us what you think happens. As you can imagine, there is a confrontation of a kind, and the repercussions of that confrontation are incredible. It's one of the best episodes in the season, and they also result in them losing their dream that they were so good at and that they worked so hard for. But again, it's exactly because they were so good at it that they must lose it. Because the moment you become the studio's spokespeople, you're going to be mired in the ethics of the studio. And the studio is all about money, not so much about art or artists or people. Season 4 of Hacks ends with a bit of optimism, even though our beloved protagonists, Deborah and Ava, have gotten their big dream and then they've lost it. They not only lost the late night gig, but Deborah's contract said that she couldn't perform for 18 months anywhere, for anything, not even in the shower. They didn't say that, but they do make that joke. So she finds herself not only having lost the thing that she loved the most, but completely unable to rebuild. Because how does she rebuild if the thing that made her whole career and her whole life, she can no longer do? And it's not just that she would get sued, whoever becomes her venue would get sued. Nobody will touch that. So she finds herself completely lost, and Ava is lost with her, because again, these two women are completely intertwined and interconnected in every way. Even as they fight and argue and disagree, they're each other's person, soulmates. And one of the things that the show shows us is that, of course, there will be a lot of being lost and grieving and doing ridiculous things and drinking way too much champagne, and because it's Deborah Vance, it's gonna be champagne, right? It's not gonna be anything else. But at the end of the season, they figure out that it's time to fight back. And we don't know if they're gonna fight back the contract. Who knows what the hell they're gonna do? But there's a moment in which they realize enough self-pitying, enough hiding, enough just disappearing inside ourselves. We're gonna go. And the season started with these two women bending to the wills of the networks as they were both horribly fighting each other in a very painful way. And now it ends with them being freed, fired from the network. And yet they're together. They have each other. And we know that it's not going to be easy, because it's never easy in Hacks. Or on TV, right? Who wants to watch something where everything is easy? But that together, these two, they're going to find a way to come back and change the world and make us laugh and get more Emmys. And so let's see what season 5 brings. But I, for one, cannot wait to see what all they have to share with us. So please share, like, subscribe. Tell us, have you seen Hacks? Have you not? Have you watched it a million times? What do you think is the cost of getting your dreams? And is it worth it to pay that cost? Stay witty and funny. Thank you.